Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go!
We need to get to Mars.
I asked about the gum.
No, come.
Welcome back. The DK Project rolls on. We are Friday, the gateway to the weekend. Actually, it's not the gateway. It is the weekend. We are in the weekend, and somehow we've got Terry in for another visit. We had some, a lot of things left unsaid after the double feature earlier in the week. So he stopped on a Friday, brought some cordials, and we're getting through it. See, on a regular FM station, this is not allowed. You can't do that because the old terrestrial radio, old mother hen won't have it. You can say hi.
Hello.
You. I noticed that when you were here last week, there wasn't a lot of hello or anything. It was just you just get right into it. Interviewer's dream.
Is it really?
Hey, you know what I'm working on right now?
What?
Listen to this. This started today. So I have the podcast and I have a commercial voiceover business and I have some real estate businesses and I use the internet like it's a survival thing, right? You got to have internet. So I can only have Frontier Communications here. So I'm not going to bore the listeners with the story because I've told it 1,000 times. But they called me again today because I don't get a bill in the mail. So they want to know where their payment is. But my upload speed right here is 1 meg.
So people, you'll be getting this show in about 3 years.
Takes a little. So I call them. I'm like, if you could get me to 5, that would be awesome. Because they sold me this bullshit story about 90 meg service. Well, and they came out, gave me 2 modems, double billed me for all this shit. Oh, 90 meg isn't in your area. I said, well, then why did we go through all this?
I mean, you pay the rate too, probably.
You get some idiot every time you call, and it's the most frustrating. So you know what I did today? I dialed up my old gal, Courtney Godfrey, over at Fox 9. Let's get the media involved here, because we don't have a choice.
Is Courtney coming out?
Well, she hasn't responded just yet, but...
That's because your email didn't get to her. It'll get to her in about 3 days.
Well,
you got one, sir.
With mine, it goes the long way around. I don't take the direct path. I go all the way around.
I saw that guy out front on the horse with the little leather sash, and he was sticking a note and then taking off.
That's
so that must
mail.
be your one.
That's my mail. You got mail. That's my guy. Don't knock
Can't
it.
even make horse noises.
Terry came in today with his notebook.
It says a lot, doesn't it?
And on top of the notebook, it says, speak slowly. That's it. That's all the notes for today. So we've had a crazy week. It's been a whirlwind of madness. The new Viking schedule's out. I haven't taken a look at it, but I think it said it starts in September. Did you get that schedule?
I did. I got it emailed to me today, and I'm not going to pull it up. But basically, they, I think, are still trying to figure out how they're going to pull off preseason with the whole issues.
Well, why don't they cancel it?
I'm suspecting they will.
Because nobody gives a shit about preseason anyway.
Right. And they're going to just jump right into it.
Give us a couple more regular season games and get rid of your preseason. It's a joke.
Coaches like it, though, for assessment reasons. So
assessment of what? Who's going to sit on the bench longer than anyone else?
Well, no, it's the guys in the bubble, the ones who really show up on those, and they can handle those pressure situations and the speed of the game. Because I'll tell you, people always say, is it that fast? And I would say, have you ever watched high school games and then gone to a Gopher game?
Yeah.
You notice there was a significant speed difference?
For sure.
There's an equal difference in speed going from the Gophers to the pros. And I don't think that the people and even players are cognizant of that until they realize it in real time. So they don't get a full squad of people. Even the guys who just made camp are faster than almost all of the college kids out there, So that is that's something you can look at film and see how they did in college, and then there's this Showtime thing where they are actually
Showtime. Oh, there's my pen. They open up with the Packer on the 13th of
Right.
September. So what you're saying is there may not be any preseason games. When do we normally start? We normally start in August, don't we?
Well, I'm no authority though, but yeah, we start in August, and last year it started in August, and that's every single weekend pretty much till January.
But you know what the good news is?
Yes.
Only one Monday night game.
Is it really?
Yes.
Where is it?
So we only have to sit through the Booger McFarland thing. Isn't that his name? Booger McFarland, the Monday night guy. Ugh. It is November 16th.
Where? Here or there?
At the Bear.
In Chicago?
At the Bear. It's going to be a
Okay.
chilly one. In the Windy City.
Yeah, that's not chilly yet there, but the West Coast Monday night games are the worst because you literally get home, I think morning, because after
You
the
leave
game,
right away? Right after the game?
Yeah, after the game, you get on the bus. It's a police escort to the airport. They clear for takeoff. If you take off from the West Coast, say it's, and then there's a time difference. So you get in around 3, 4 in the morning and 4:30 sometimes, whatever. And then you end up back at the facility. Players literally go straight home. And then we get this equipment back in the lockers and kind of in and
You do all that
immediately. Yeah. The thing
Wow.
about, well, you asked before.
was that an all-nighter then?
It's definitely an all-nighter. And I'm not a big sleeper on a plane. I just watch a lot of movies. So yeah, I have a hard time on the planes. That's why, those people like Dan Marino like to climb in the back of the truck and slam some booze because they would actually fall asleep. And the A
Shut her
squad,
down.
the A squad gets the first class with the pods where they lie down.
Oh,
and
sure.
So, but then that's like the starters.
And they
the
put those
captains.
big linemen, not starters, got to sit and coach?
They sit and coach. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That
it's-
alone would make me work so hard to get front line.
They
I-
don't seat us next to each other. There's a space in between all of us, but yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. A lot of those guys don't have the girlish figure that fits in a plane seat, especially, what do you guys charter, Sun Country?
No, it's Delta.
Oh, well, no wonder why the ticket prices are so high. Jesus. So you go with them, do you go with them to every game?
Actually, all these stories, I'll jump in with a story on the airlines. There was I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe 3 already, where the airlines called a lot of the teams and said, you know what, we don't want your business. I'm sorry. Go find some other carrier to do it. And the league got involved and even called all the teams and said, are you okay? Do you need us to communicate with the airlines? Because it happened in the 11th hour. And although the rates were going up and up and up, charging to the football teams, they just decided that it wasn't profitable. So I said to our Delta rep, because they have each football, baseball, hockey, they have a rep from that airlines. If it's Hawaiian Air and Seattle flies Hawaiian Air or whatever, they would have a rep on the plane.
Sure.
So that rep, ours is a great guy, Nick Scott. And I said, hey, Nick, what's the deal? I don't get it. The contract is X and it's a lot of money. It seems like you should be making money. And he said, well, actually, just one football team bumps and creates 10,000 some rescheduled flights. Because how the airline industry does it is they take and they bump down. So they take the large, we get these A330s, and that's one of the bigger planes in the air now. And then if we take one out of the system, because there are no extra planes, we had a couple of situations. I remember once we were in New England, and the stair truck or food truck, it might have been, as they drive up to the plane, poked a hole in the skin of the plane, and they had to go find another plane.
Come on.
And so we were lucky. We sat in the locker room in New England and watched football on TV for 3 hours or so.
Do I know about this? Was that made the news, didn't it?
Probably. The funnest one was in Green Bay when our plane went off the runway. And
Come on.
yeah, you
Winter
remember
game?
that one? Yeah. So anyway, let me go back because ADD. I got to know. Talk
Focus.
slowly.
You should write on the top where it says speak slowly, put focus.
I'm writing focus.
Write that a little bigger than what you did for slow speaking.
Okay, so let me go
You
back.
don't need to speak slow because my internet upload speed, it'll slow everything down for you. All right, go back.
So you can imagine how fast we really speak. So in the New England case, they found one, but they had to actually pull a plane out of the service. So you can imagine 300 people sitting somewhere where they get the thing that says canceled.
Oh.
And they literally deadheaded a plane that took, it might even come from the West Coast.
They bumped a whole deal?
They just said, you're out of here. We got to service this team. So they flew the plane to us and we went home. But there was one year that the Eagles had during camp, same thing. Someone, I think it was the stair truck then, poked a hole in the skin of the plane and they ground it immediately.
How often does this happen?
I don't think much. But in that case, we were already at the airport and Delta called and said, hey, there's an issue. It might have been, it was Philadelphia actually was coming in. And they already were at the airport. The whole team was in Philly. And the coaches because these are young kids, they don't let them go home because they might not get them back. And there was always,
it's like a little league team.
It is. There's always one player or so that can't say bye to mama or whatever, and he misses a plane, and that's infuriating for a coach. So when they have the team, they don't let them go. So the coach said, we're not letting them go. We're putting them in a hotel. So they stayed in the hotel in Philly at the airport. It took them all night to get another plane. And then they got on it and they showed up here in the morning for a game that day, but it was preseason, so it didn't matter if they didn't have proper preparation. Oh. So that was one story. And then there was...
what happens when the dude misses the plane?
Oh, the coaches get mad. They go, it's on you. You got to go find yourself a flight. And if you don't show up, then they penalize them a lot. And then there's more and more repercussions, but they really lay it on that player. And these are like repeat kind of offender type players. So coaches, our coach really likes to pick guys who are coachable. So we don't really have any problems, but I remember.
Even at that level, a professional level, you got guys that can't get up and get to the plane.
They're college kids now. You got to remember that.
Jesus.
And so they get them in, they show up, they kind of make it there sometimes last minute, but there are many stories through the years where guys miss the planes and they're just infuriated. So the best time though was we were going to Green Bay and I truck the stuff, right? On the close games. We fly, so we truck to Chicago and Green Bay. We used to truck to Detroit, but now we fly.
When you fly, does all that fit on one plane or do you have to send a separate plane?
And that's an interesting thing now. Digressing. You
better make notes. You remember to go back.
I went to my note, focus. So back in the old days, 28 years ago, we fit into a 727. Do you remember how little those things were?
Yeah.
They're tiny. And I remember Dallas came in with a 727 and they had a long range fuel tank underneath because they took that plane to Europe. Well, the long range fuel tank took up about a third of the cargo bay on a 727, which meant there was hardly anything there, and we fit it all in. So by standards of pounds, Dallas traveled back then with probably 7,000 pounds. Green Bay shows up with 33,000 pounds now.
What?
Yeah, and they take two planes.
Is that just Brett's shit?
Yeah. They take two planes, though, Green Bay does. Two smaller planes because there's no big plane that'll hold their stuff.
Why do they have so much shit? A lot of cheese
it grows,
in there?
Yeah, it grows. No, not just Green Bay. Anytime a coach goes somewhere and he says, hey, you know what they have over there? And then they expect to have it at the next place. And it's just been growing through the decades. And also there used to be 7 coaches in the early days of the Vikings. Now there's 20 some.
Oh.
So there's staff grew tremendously. Team sizes have stayed the same. But the cargo holds, we used to fit on a 757. No team can hardly ever fit on a 757 cargo-wise anymore. There are a lot of teams that drive everywhere now because they just can't fit on the plane. They put it on a semi and go.
Is that one semi worth of stuff?
It's one semi was worth of stuff, yeah.
So what do you guys fly on now?
An A330 is the only thing that will comfortably fit our stuff. And you know how big they are.
Wow.
They're 300
That's the bus,
people.
isn't it?
It's
the Airbus?
The Airbus, yeah. It's a big Airbus.
Jesus.
We used to fit on 57s, then we didn't fit on them, then we fit on the stretched 57s, then we didn't fit on them. So there may not be a day we ever outgrow a A330, I would assume, because that we even went
I
to.
would hope not.
When we go to Europe, they give us the monster Airbuses. It used to be 767s or 747s. I mean, when they went to Europe, but when they decommissioned those, then it went to the biggest Airbus, because NFL Europe actually keeps a lot of equipment there for the teams to practice with. They keep the sleds and all that stuff. So the big stuff, they don't have to travel. They just have to travel with their normal equipment.
Well, you don't bring that shit when you go to wherever.
No. Only
no out
basics.
of country shit this year. All domestic.
Which is a dream for the equipment managers.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
For everybody.
So
silly.
So I'll tell something that I think is purely humorous, going down another rabbit hole. It's this show of rabbit holes that someday hopefully they converge back to one
full
big
circle.
rabbit den. But we were going into London, and Dennis Ryan is the guy with the best sense of dry humor you've ever seen. And he's brilliant, and he's witty, and so his humor is, you would love him.
Nice.
And so we're going to London, and Dennis Ryan happens to be of the ethnicity of maybe an Irishman. And I don't know if you know this
Dennis
or not, but
O'Ryan.
but the British and the Irish might, and like Braveheart, there might be some dissonance between the Irish and the English. And I know it's all good humor now.
Just a skosh lad.
Yep, but Dennis doesn't give up on this good humor. So he writes on these boxes, English balls, a wee bit smaller. And we thought it was hilarious. Well, Dennis and I come through customs. And I come through with a name like Pernsteiner, even though I found out I'm Scottish, but because my grandmother was almost fully Scottish, but I didn't know that till last year. But I'm thinking I'm purely German. So he and I are ahead of the whole team, the whole entourage, because we have to get the equipment through customs and get this stuff to this fancy place where the Clintons did holidayed.
Of course.
And we were out at these pitches that were out in the country at a very nice kind of a country club thing, but it's the professional football
Soccer.
team did it was their setup, but they let the NFL go there and tear up their nice pitches with our cleats. But we get up to the customs first, and the customs sees my name, Pernsteiner, and just lets me right through. And I'm standing there waiting. There's just Dennis and I, and the whole team is behind us, and there's red cords because in tons of cameras. You know, the NFL is coming to Europe, and there's like 17 million people watching us roll in. And Dennis is at customs now, and he and I are there. And I'm standing there waiting on him because I just got through like that. And they see his name, and they go, now they set up a single customs station for our team. We're not going through. So they know who we are and why we're there. They say to Dennis, so why are you here? And he says, I just got through, and he knows why we're here. There's a red velvet corded walkway for us to keep the media on one side, and it's right there. And he goes, well, I'm here with the football team. Football? Oh, you're with the soccer team? And I'm standing there going, I can't say a thing because you don't say anything to customs.
No.
They'll turn on you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is kind of funny. And Dennis is like very polite because he knows you don't mess with customs. And he goes, no, American football. American football. So you're with, what is American football? He's got this guy held up now for minutes on end. And the team's right on our heels because we got off the plane, we ran up ahead of them. And now if it jams up, it's going to cause some logistics for Dennis and I. We got to get to the freight forwarder and get all this stuff going. And they just won't let Dennis go. And now we get to our stuff and he's like, turn the boxes around. English balls, a wee bit smaller. And it's like, almost like the guy saw those boxes, but he didn't. So I just thought it was hilarious.
You shut it down. How many times have you gone over there?
Twice.
God, it's got to be a cluster.
Another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So the first game we were over there, we played Pittsburgh Steelers, and Steelers did not, because of budget reasons, bring ball boys. So we went into their locker room.
Because of budget reasons?
Yes. They are very, very, very frugal. And the owner was great. Dan Rooney.
Isn't that Hershey that owns that?
Dan
Heinz.
Rooney. That's Steelers.
Who'd
now
you say?
we're talking about, did I say,
Yeah, you
I
said
did say Pittsburgh, didn't I?
Yeah.
No, you're right. So
Who's Rooney?
it was the Steelers. Rooney owned the Steelers. So you got it right, and thank you for correcting it and letting me slow down. Talk slowly, think slowly. So, Dan Rooney was the ambassador to Ireland for the United States. He was so Irish.
Oh,
the
wow.
owner of the Steelers. Fantastic guy. So anyway, we go in the locker room to say hi to their equipment guy, Rogers Vogelvie. Great guy.
Rogers Vogelvie.
Great name, huh?
Yeah.
And so Rogers says, "Hey guys, they didn't give me any money to bring ball boys. Me and my buddy Hof were doing balls, and two gray-haired guys, and he goes, will you do ours for us?" And I'm like, yeah. So we're doing balls for both sides, right? And so you're busy. You're throwing balls in constantly. Normally when they have possession, you just kind of hang around and talk to people on the sidelines, and that's when I was like giving whoever's on the sidelines.
So you're doing both sides.
Which is unheard of, right? So we're doing both sides, and I look down, and the chain gang guys are standing right next to each other, and they're supposed to be 10 yards apart because that's what a first down is in the NFL. And I look down, and I look up at them, and I grab the chain, and I yank on it, and the guy's all smiles. He goes, I said, fucking. And I don't know what you're saying. I yank on it. He just smiles, and then I'm throwing balls. And finally, the referee sees this. He runs off to the side, and he just screams at him every word in the book. And he yanks on it, and they smile at him and go, and he goes, looks at me, and I go, I don't know what they're saying. Only word is, we only word we know is we hear him say fuck. We don't know what else they're saying. He runs back off because there's no TV timeout. There's no timeout anything. He just ran off because this is serious. You guys got to mark a first down because this is the game of American football. And we heard that they were American football coaches, but they obviously weren't. They didn't know what a first down was. And so then there's a timeout, an actual TV timeout. So we have a few minutes. So he comes over, the official, and he's so nice then. And I go, man, you're good. Because we're supposed to get the Europeans to like American football.
Right.
And us,
that's the whole idea.
Scream at them while they smile at us and say, it's like that Robin Williams Scottish golf skit. It was just like that. And so that was a crazy.
So do we bring our own officials over there then?
We bring our own officials, but
we don't bring our own sideline guys to do the chains?
They tried, but the league was too frugal.
God.
I told
it's
you.
so weird to hear frugal when you're talking
billions of dollars.
Yes. That's crazy.
The NFL has several entities. It's the teams, which are the owners, and then there's NFL properties out of New York.
And they do all
Park
the other
Avenue.
shit like the refs.
They own the brand. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that going to Europe, and they were supposed to go to Mexico City this year too.
So do the math on this. I told you a West Coast team, if you had a Monday night game in West Coast, just even not even a Monday night, just a night game or it's night game on the West Coast and not with the time difference. They start at 1:00 in the afternoon, whatever. So it's really late and teams are wiped out. And like going to Europe, teams have a choice of either showing up on Thursday or spending the whole week there. We spent the whole week there the first time at this place, which was actually the most fascinating place. I can't think of the name of it, but where the Clintons holidayed. And the groundskeeper was a golf course too, part of it. And I'm out there mingling around and talking to the groundskeepers and whatnot too, because I'm so excited to be in England. And he goes, have you seen the bunkers? And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, let me show you. So he takes me down this one fairway. We go into the woods, and it's like Harry Potter. And here's this thing, there's a fence. And he goes, look in here. And I look over the fence, and there's this concrete arch. And he goes, there's miles of bunker here from World War II. I said, no kidding. And you couldn't see it because it's all hidden in the woods, because if they come in over bombing, you had to hide it. So I told Pete Bursich is a historian, history nut. And I said, hey, Pete, you got to see these things. And he's like, can you show me? So we went down in there with our cell phones. And then I think he brought in a TV crew too to show them. And inside these, you go down these things and there's a T and there's just painted like E7 on the wall because you could get lost. They were this old.
They're all connected.
They're all connected. There were several miles of them down there. And on the side were frames and then wood that would rot it off. So they had seating. So if there was an air raid, they would go down there, and it was the headquarters for the railroad of the British Empire. So, and the railroad then was what moved all of the artillery and supplies. So if they could take out the railroad, so they moved this place out in the country. And so I'm down there with Pete, and I say, hey, Pete, don't bats like caves? He goes, yeah, I suppose. He said, I hate bats or something. And I go, man, I think we went far enough. So we go back out. I Googled it, and it had the largest population of this particular bat that lived in these very things, these bunkers we were in. Can you imagine if they took off because we freaked them out? And it would have been like a scene from I don't know what. We'd have been on the ground with, covered in guano.
I was at a voiceover conference in Austin, Texas, and I stayed at the Four Seasons. Not because I wanted to, because I got a free ride if I stayed there, which mathematically I probably should have figured out. Cheaper to pay for a ride than it is to, I end up paying for the damn car anyway. Anyway, I'm like, I go down to the deal because I'm down there by myself, and I go down to the concierge and I'm like, hey, if you're first time in Austin, what are you going to see? Like, what's the go-to?
Yeah.
And she said, well, you got to see the bats. I said, what do you mean the bats? Well, there's this huge bridge behind the Four Seasons, happens to be behind the Four Seasons. And at dusk, like 100,000 bats fly out from underneath there. And people line up. The boats line up in the river. There's people everywhere to see these bats. And I was there for like 4 days, and I said, I don't know that I care, So anyway, I'm on the phone with the wife on like the third day checking in and standing in my window, which faces the bridge. And I'm like, I'll maybe look for these bats, But then I got caught in the middle of it's too dark for me to see from my room, but I don't have enough time to get out of the building. So I missed them. But I'm like, bats? Really? Bats?
I love them.
People eat that. Love that shit.
They eat up insects. So they're a fantastic critter. They're just like flying mice, so they scare us. But and everyone has a story about chasing one around the house with a tennis racket.
Well, there's a story going around about a flu that came from a bat. Have you heard that one?
Mm-mm.
No, we're not talking any flu today. No flu at all. So I think that you get to go explore all these bunkers and all this shit while the team's practicing?
No.
Or what are you doing? I mean, like once you get there.
They have morning and afternoon practices. So in between there.
So are you at the practices?
Yeah. Yeah, we help with the practice and get them going. There was this one practice that was amazing.
Do you have to wear like gear and shit?
No.
Do you have to wear a helmet?
I had to wear this Batman cape, but that's about it. No. So the second time we were there, though, maybe it was that time. It's all mixed in. But they had to do a walkthrough, and they didn't have any place because we were at. It was the last time. Anyway, it was one of the times we were there. The 2 times they went to this English castle, and the yard that was just full of like gopher mounds and stuff. And they set up. We painted some lines in the grass, and there were cows standing right there. So we took a bunch of pictures with the cows standing behind us, and it was surreal.
Did you go cow tipping?
Not at all. But here they are doing this, this NFL team with the cows standing on the other side of the fence and this English castle in the background. You just can't make that stuff up. So there were some really cool scenarios.
I was in Ireland last year, and we went to this Cliffs of Moher, where all the wind and the big cliffs, and it's like, it's exactly the way they painted on TV. Like, I mean, it is, I was in the Guinness commercial, this was, and it's crazy when you actually get to that point where you have this picture, a scene, and you're like, I can't believe I'm actually doing this.
Well, to me, it's surreal because, I get really excited about stuff like that. So what is your ethnicity?
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Mine. Listen to that voice change. I think I'm German and Norwegian.
You haven't done the Ancestry.com or any of that?
No. There's a list that I have of shit that I don't care about at all.
I'm going to put it on here.
And that's pretty high.
M-U-T-T.
Yeah.
So we're all mutts. I get that.
I don't even know. It's funny you say that because like, you check the lineage to, who came over and when we got here. I don't know any of that. Like, I don't know any of it. I don't know how far back I got to go to get across the pond.
So you know how easy it is. You spit in a vial and you send it in the mail for $70.
Yeah, but I don't care.
But I care. So I'm going to make you spit in a vial and spend $70.
Yeah, but then they're going to know about me.
Oh,
And they're going to have my DNA.
I think they know enough about you. You know, you pay taxes.
Yeah.
And, And you probably drew blood once or twice.
Yeah. No, I truly, I don't care. There's people out there that are afraid of that stuff, though.
Oh, I know a few.
You know, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
You know, I was just filling out this. I'm working with this new company, and I got a couple of agency representations now on the voiceover world. But all of them, you know, this actor world, all of them say, "Are you male, female, non-binary?"
Aren't you tempted to just
You don't want to
screw with that
disclose?
form? Don't you want to just once just screw with it?
I don't know. You know what? It's so, and I found this a lot. Like I deal with a lot of the Californians in this industry, and you really got to watch yourself.
Oh, I know.
You know, here's a funny story. I was in Ireland with this dude that I had hung out with a bunch of times. Actually, I was with him in Austin.
You got to watch yourself with an Irishman? Are you kidding me?
What?
Don't tell me this.
No, he wasn't Irish. Huh?
You were in Ireland. Okay.
Yeah.
I jumped in.
And so we went to this place and had really good pad thai.
Yeah.
So we go out to dinner at this pub, and me and this dude, who obviously we're both heavy eaters, he's like,
obviously,
"Hey,
why obviously?
you want to swing through and get some pad thai on the way home? Like, we're leaving dinner to go get some pad thai." I'm like, "Yeah."
For dessert.
So we sit down and we're having pad thai, and this guy's great. I mean, the stories were amazing. Just a big heart, big, good soul. And he's basically having an intervention with me. He's like, "Dude, I know."
Is this a food intervention?
No. We were fist to fist on the chow. It was legit. But I'm like, he's like, "Dude, I think you're a Trump guy." He goes, I think you're a Trump guy, and I'm, I want to talk to you about that. I'm like, "Fuck you." Like, whether I am or am it doesn't matter. But these people are so. I was in a class in Ireland.
So Ireland is anti-Trump. Is that what you're saying? Or
No.
this
These
guy?
were Americans.
Oh, these are
we were all,
Americans. Okay,
we were all Americans over there. Well, there's one British lady, but whatever.
So he was going to change your ways.
He was, it was upset about it. Like and I actually had to unfriend him because he is so political. And
Let's unpack that one.
I'm in the middle. I'm not gonna. I've had a stroke. I have a lot of stress in my life. I don't need to deal with this whole presidential bullshit. Like, people get really upset about stuff, and you don't need to.
But you started that conversation in our 2 interviews ago. So I tried to say, it's a really complicated issue because, but what really bothers me is when people get hating each other. Remember, I said it became brother against brother and all that stuff, mom against kid, and that's where I go. It's not politics at this point. There's insecurities and stubbornness that are the real issue, not politics.
I have a friend whose sister and father, like, damn near disowned her, and I
who's the Trump guys? Or the dads or moms or the kid?
I don't think the dad and the sister were anti, and my friend isn't a Trump person. She's just not, and that's the whole thing. That's where I'm at. It's like, I like some of the stuff he does. I don't like some of the stuff he does. Yeah. But it's the same thing with Obama. It's it's with all of them. Right. But the problem is that, and I don't want this to be a political thing, but if you're not with them on that side of the street, you're dumb. You don't know what you're doing. And it's like, no.
See, that's what I wanted to pull out of this conversation. It's something that, and I'll try to do it quickly.
Go.
There's a
Hold
dynamic.
on, let me open up the political corner. I don't have an old door.
There's a dynamic that people have self-interests on. And first of all, I said it before, there's our stubbornness and our insecurities. Yes, please. And there's the political dynamics, but the side of the politics is maybe less than we realize because they argue to be right no matter what the topic is, in a sense, because but
they don't even argue. They don't even want to hear the other side.
Exactly.
It's bullshit.
They're so busy thinking about their response that they're not.
Don't mind me. I'm getting comfortable.
And wisdom is something that says you learn even from your enemies. I love that piece of description of wisdom.
It's so true.
You have to listen to everything because, yes, I said it. yesterday or something to my wife. I said, you know what? I've never said this before, but
burping on the air, dude?
No, I'm clearing my throat.
Oh, no. That's gassy discharge. You can't do that.
So
we don't have a cough button. We have a belch button.
Well,
that's
anyway.
exactly the truth, though, and that's what's so frustrating. And these people that tend to be in the whole Hollywood world, they don't even want to hear your side. They don't want to hear anything other than what their side is. And that's what's so very frustrating. And that's why I don't get into,
Is that arrogance? Is it insecurities? Those are two opposite positions.
I think it's a combination of both. I think a lot of it, really, if you get her down to brass tacks, is they don't know. They don't know what they're talking about. And they've been programmed that Trump's a scumbag, Trump's a piece of shit,
He is absolutely an idiot sometimes, but I told you that he was that since 1980s.
But how do these people talk about Trump like he's such a bum? Number one.
But he does say the dumbest things and do. But at the same time, he's the most genius brander you'll ever meet. So you'll never beat him at his game, and yet at the same time, so I always have this. I like to do this. I hold up 3 fingers and I point at the middle one and I say, the outside ones. It's idiot, savant, idiot. Whatever your gift is, there's usually an idiot on both sides of your gifting because you're only good usually at a kind of a specific thing. So if you try to expand on that, you're going to look pretty stupid. No one's good at everything. So he's classic idiot, savant, idiot. His savant is his branding and what you said before. He created something out of, he came out with a lot of money, but he created some real value in his brand, and that's him.
Well, he gets shit done. Like I've read his books and that kind of thing. From a real estate perspective, he gets shit done.
Now he's driven though. Talk about that. How much of that is drive? Because think of the work of being a president. Why would someone at his age in life want to work that hard? Beside, there's a legacy piece, but because I don't always buy that people put themselves into public position because of simply their good heart and their altruism. I think sometimes it's simply because of their worthiness issues, to be honest with you, to show, because at some point it starts to look like ego and arrogance. And so that's where I go. It gets really dicey. You know how many politicians that you and I have met that you go, wow, why are they in Washington? And then there are some that are absolutely phenomenal that you understand why they're there. But there's too many of them that are there that you go, how disordered are they? I thought I was screwed up. Man, that guy's or gal's really out there.
But you get these people that come in and they absolutely spit on the name. Number one, still the leader of the free world. Let's show him some respect. This is a problem.
Yeah.
You have to be able to respect people, even if you don't agree with them all the time. That's why we have these problems, because people don't respect anyone. They don't respect cops. They don't respect
I agree.
Border Patrol, any of this kind of shit. And then you flip the coin.
Yep.
And how do you get behind Nancy Pelosi? How do you get behind how are you going to talk bad about Trump?
Yeah.
And you're going to get behind Biden? He can't even finish a sentence. And that's proven. Like, the guy is not all there. And this is the best you got?
But neither is.
So how do you have that?
Donald. So my point is, politicians aren't complete packages.
No.
That's what I think.
Term limits.
To your point before, he's human. If more, this isn't a problem about Donald Trump. This is a societal thing. Society has chosen him, and there's even there's a religious belief that God puts leaders in place. So if you want to go and get really spiritual, that then you can go all the way down to there. So that the argument to your point is, he's there and he's the leader. Military can only function because they do not question; they just act upon their leaders. So there's an important process of leadership that has to have respect on down, and it is so in place that there's still a queen in place in England, So
she's older than dirt.
Yep, but humans have there's both a need and there's a function. But anyway, we're digressing. So I think it's more of a societal thing. And let me throw this in there. So when I had a big discussion with someone that's very close to me who was really hung up on old growth trees, and that was the passion. And then it was oil companies. And I'm like, you're talking about Hollywood here now. You get it? So you're getting this Hollywood personality type. And so I was trying to play devil's advocate, saying, because my belief is the solutions are in the middle. So I said, if everyone, to your point before, who doesn't get on the bandwagon is an idiot, because both sides say, if you don't believe what I believe, you're an idiot. Well, both sides aren't an idiot. That just makes both of them look like idiots. If they say, in the case of old growth trees or petroleum as an interest, if you're so vehemently against it, you show me one of those people in Hollywood or one of those corporate types that have these positions, or whether it's nouveau or old money, they are diversified. And if you look into their investments, they're into oil, they're into forestry products, and guess what they do? They harvest those things. So my position with this person is, if we can just start and say we are all part of the problem, if we start to say we all have to say we are part of the problem, not you idiot on the other side. Because in this particular place, I said, let me ask you about your deck. You have a really large deck. What's that made out of? They lived on the West Coast. Redwood. I said, or was it cedar? I can't remember. But why did you choose that? Because it's cheaper than Trex and some of these bands. So I said, exactly. People follow their self-interest. And if they just say, we're all in it because we all invested in the oil. You
tied political views into the difference between Redwood and Trex decking.
You have to, because if you really look at what we do is we protect our self-interest, which is our checkbook. If someone America wants to retire early, well, that means they go into the 401ks and all that, and guess what they're into? They're into all the things that those people that you talk about are vehemently against. They're investing in them heavily, maybe even heavier than you, and they're arguing with you that you shouldn't be into Trump or whatever. So we're all part of this problem.
But doesn't it stem back to the point where we're in this society? It's the soccer society. These everybody gets a ribbon. We don't want anybody to feel bad. You don't want to have any emotion at all. Isn't that kind of where it ties back to like these people don't know how to deal with controversy. They don't know how to deal with confrontation.
Yeah, I do. You're an idiot.
Well, and
that's how they do it.
Yeah, right. Or they'll run home crying, or they'll run home, get a gun, come back and blow the whole place up. I mean,
don't we all just love the public debaters that are able to go shake hands afterwards and say, you did a great job on that. You really got me on this point. Unfortunately, the people that you talk about don't do that.
I was going to say, does that ever happen?
They do. The real.
What is that, like a 7th grade spelling bee where they're doing that?
No, people are really good at apologetics and at political debates, are able to walk away saying, hey, I might even learn something today. This is not just politics. It's religious people do the same thing, because they consider all the other religions idiots. And there's this great author that wrote this book called Everything Belongs. His name's Richard Rohr. And in the beginning of it, he's a Franciscan priest. I grew up Catholic, not a Catholic. Now,
what's a Franciscan? What's that?
You'll see. It's kind of a sect, but
you'll see. We'll get there.
But the first thing he said in this religious book was, we should really respect the Eastern religions. And I said, oh, I like this guy, because they meditate. And on our Western cultures, we're so busy, we don't meditate. So we could learn something from the Eastern religions. See, there's wisdom again. This thing that some people would say, oh, they're our enemies or they're this, they have something that you could learn from. And that's why I say the premise of this wisdom is something that you could learn from everybody. And I love that, because I said, I can listen to this guy because he has an open enough mind to say something like that. He had me at hello.
There you go. That's the end of the political corner for today.
I was going to say that too.
I watched, did you ever watch or listen to Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yes. He's almost as famous as you.
Well, easy. He's got a little work to do. He had Elon Musk on again this week.
I heard he was the driest interview.
He always is. That dude is.
Joe wore himself out, I heard, trying to get him to answer a
That
question.
guy is so. I'm not finished with it yet, but that guy, Elon Musk, is so far ahead of the average person. Like he thinks a lot before he speaks, which is good.
No. Stop right there. I'm going to make you unpack that one.
What?
I witnessed on this, when you put something on the internet, something that I have very raw conversations in real life. I am very authentic and transparent. That when you get on the air and he's a huge personality that everyone's listening to on the most popular podcast, he has to be calculating. So I'm
Second
saying,
most popular.
Yeah, right behind you. But so I'm saying that he's not authentic. He didn't get high like the Tesla dude and lose his board position because he was being real.
He is the Tesla dude.
Wait a minute. Is that the guy who lost the board position because he got high on him for the first time?
Yeah.
So that's better yet. So he got scolded and clipped so badly the first interview by just hanging it all out that now he's super calculating and reserved because
he was that way in the first one too. He's like.
So he was when he got high? He was that the same way?
He didn't get high. He took a little pull off that. He didn't get high.
Okay.
It was just totally for show. But, now that we've been talking, I think I figured it out that maybe he speaks in real time, but Joe Rogan's got the same upload speed that I have.
He does.
So it makes it seem more calculated.
No, I heard a lot of people who don't have ADD and they said, man, it was really a boring.
Ooh. But anyway, the reason why I bring it up is he number one, he named his kid some weird name, which whatever, do what you want to do. But then he's selling everything off because everybody's giving him shit for being a billionaire. So he's selling off all these houses. He goes,
So he sells it off and he gets richer? And that how does that fix that issue?
You can't have assets. Assets are what upset the apple cart. So he's like,
where do you go with the money? Does he make a pile in his backyard?
So he's going to rent.
But wait a minute.
Well,
Assets.
He didn't say.
Okay.
Technically, he won't have a backyard. He sold everything.
Yeah.
But he assembled these properties, and he's like, I was going to build my dream home. And Joe Rogan's like Tony Stark kind of shit,
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is like, yeah, kind of a dream home kind of thing. And then Elon Musk says, and then I thought about it, and I think right now it's more important for me to get us to Mars than it is to build my dream home.
So he's going to spend his wealth
on
getting to Mars?
I put the dream home on hold so I could focus on Mars.
That only means something to me.
Have you said that at all this week? That, I got to ease off on this project because I got to focus on getting us to Mars?
I say it about twice a day. But honestly, tell me why getting to Mars is the solution instead of maybe investing in alternate energies and all the things that he could do on this very green planet.
I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody.
Yeah, I think it's still he's pursuing a legacy.
He just named his kid
Mars.
No, I think it's X and then AE.
Wait a minute.
And they say that the AE is pronounced Ash.
Oh, okay.
And then it's A11. Which is the?
Oh, I'm thinking of the Jupiter moons. Mars has what are the names of the Mars? I thought he named his kids like the moons.
No,
Mars.
He named him. His partner named the first part, and the middle part was for the plane that preceded the SR-71 Blackbird. That was his favorite plane, so he named his kid after it.
Who could ever like something better than the SR-71? That is to this day the fastest plane ever. To this date, and it was designed in the 50s, built in the 50s, probably designed in the 40s.
They're all decommissioned, are they? They're not using them anymore.
Someone told me that there are a couple but I saw one in a museum.
There's one not far from here. Or maybe it came through town. That's what it was. It was on a tour of some sort, I think.
A couple of tidbits.
That was a while ago.
Remember they benched him because it costs like $17 million a year to keep one in the air.
Here's a good point.
Good point.
ADD. The other day, they did a big C-130 and some plane to fly over for the nurses and the whatever.
The hospitals, yeah.
Why don't you take that money you spent on all that jet fuel and all that bullshit and give them the money? What good is it to fly over?
That's too practical.
There's $50,000 in fuel we just pissed away. Why don't we give that to them?
I know. I like to play devil's advocate. So I would say, first of all, I agree with you. And on my devil's advocate side, say that humans need inspiration. So
There's inspiration there.
They
Maybe
need hope.
Give me the Blue Angels.
I wish it was
something
SR-71 because then you wouldn't even see it go so fast. Do you know when the SR-71 took off, the landing gear was too light to handle its fuel. So it had this, they call it like critical something. When it took off, it had like 7 minutes to get fuel or it was going to crash. And then the little white tires, which are...
So they took off without
almost empty.
fuel?
Yep. And they had dumped their fuel to land because otherwise the landing gear would crush when it hit the runway. Yeah. And so,
hey, Bobby, I think we got a planning defect here. I'm running over the numbers and they don't compute.
But they're like one monstrous fuel tank and an engine. And the white tires are like white lithium. They had to make them out of that because they got so hot during flight from friction that they would blow up otherwise. So you notice the tires are white. So everything about that plane that was designed back then.
Somebody knows about the SR-71.
Yes,
Are you going to name your next kid that?
I have one named S, next one R, 7 and 1.
Oh, that looks good on a Christmas card.
And you pronounce it by saying Ash.
Yeah, exactly. It's pronounced Ash. The 7, the 1, and the SR are silent. It's Ash.
So I left here. I have to ask you a question. So you told me you have 2 voice coaches?
1 currently, yep.
And
I've gone through 3. I'm not gone through, but worked with.
You wore them out. So I left here saying, I understand why. Because the cadence of someone with ADD that doesn't have a life coach, hence me, is like so fast that we don't finish sentences. We don't finish words.
Yeah.
And we just go from one thought, half a thought, to the next half a thought, to the next half a thought. So you've learned to slow it down.
Well, it says right on top of my page.
Well,
you know what? Let me make a note here. No, that wasn't my problem. I mean, that's my current problem is still cadence.
Yeah.
But I couldn't read. I had to learn how to read. And not that these people taught me to read. I mean, I could read, but I have really bad dyslexia. And I never got the fix. There's a fix. My oldest son got the fix. It's
what is the fix?
It's the Orton Gillingham people that are trained in the Orton Gillingham way of teaching. It can teach you how to reconnect things the correct way. Because basically what it is you're not connecting like everyone else does. So when you look at it doesn't look like the to you. It looks like something else.
How do they tell me that method? How does that even work?
Well, and I haven't been formally trained in it. My son has, but it's very interesting to see. And it's been, I don't know, 10 years now since he went through it. But so I had to learn, and I'm fixing it by, I think, because my sister has it real bad. And I think you can actually like read your way out of it, not completely, but make it a lot better. Just because it's just like anything, like if you take a kid with heavy dyslexia, they're not the neurons or whatever aren't connecting. Where if you continually read, it's becomes habit. Now I know that when these two are together, it says this, but I still I'll go back and look at something. I'll be like, oh shit, that doesn't work.
Give us a better example. Give us a visual. When you read the word Roku, what do you see? You see Roku, or are there certain words that just don't?
No, yeah. Mine don't so much jumble the letters in the words. They'll move the words around. And I'll just assume that if I see an RO word, that it's going to be, road and not Roku. So I immediately go to road when actually if I slow down and look at it, it's Roku. Just because of the way my brain works. And my son, he was able to they have a special thing at school where they get special attention and, can get extra time on tests and all this. And he had the certification to have it. I don't know what they call it, classified as, but he never used it. He's doing very well in college. I don't want to say he's in the clear, but it's very interesting to see because when I would sit down with him to read, I think we talked about this last week. When I would sit down with him to read, I knew right away he had a problem because he read the way I read. And that, and that's why we went and got him this huge test and all this shit. And
so it's genetic.
Oh yeah. My dad had it. My sister has it. I have it. Oh yeah. But, it's not the end of the world. It's whatever. But so that's why I have all these coaches because, now I'm into the point where we're talking about not so much cadence, but inflection, commas, periods, like how to deliver that. Because when you're in the voiceover world, when you're in the acting world and you're on stage, you can make a face or you can act. Where when you're behind the microphone in this blacked out studio that we're in, I can't, you don't get to see what I look like. And that's part of the reason why my fat ass
He's drop dead
wants
sexy.
to be that way. Well, shit. So
I can hardly hear you with the screaming girls outside that glass door.
that's what I had. It's not to keep the sound right in my studio. It's to keep the noise from the chicks out. No, I've had to learn how to do all of that because you have to. It's so much harder than people think it is.
I bet.
People just think, oh, you get on there, you read the commercial, but it's not. To make it sound right is so hard. And I have a wonderful coach. His name's Mark Cashman. He's been awesome, and I got a great audio guy.
How do you end up into coaching?
Well, that's the oddity of this whole world of voiceover is I've yet to meet a person who just does voiceover. Everybody is either a coach or a producer or demos or, they all have a side hustle, which makes you go, wait a minute, this might not, but truly I have enough jobs to where it's just a hobby for me.
What do they charge? What's a voice coach charge?
It varies. It varies.
Like a guitar lesson, $50 an hour?
Oh, no. Not going to get yourself a California voice actor or voice coach for that.
Okay.
A reasonable one is probably, if you buy a package, $100 an hour, and an expensive one is probably $200. There's probably more expensive, but
like counseling.
That's the deepest I've gone. My first coach, huge in the industry, great guy, had a ton of fun with him, but he lives that rock star lifestyle. Like that's why I was at the Four Seasons, because he was there, and he's like, I'll give you a ride if anybody wants to share an Uber. Well, so I'm like, oh, okay. So I dropped
I'm amazed you fit in the trunk.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, that's just it. It was what an experience, man. It was fun though. Voiceover people are great because they get paid to talk, and that's the end goal. I mean, obviously it's a retirement plan for me, but I just have fun with it. It's really a lot of fun, and I'm getting a lot of doors open right now. I've got two big things getting agency representation. I have two,
and I'm
now.
Busy slamming those suckers right shut.
Yeah, well, with your attitude, with your negativity,
I just thought my presence on your show is shutting those doors as fast as you can open them.
Well, they weren't open that far anyway. No, the show's going great. We're putting out 2 episodes this week. We had Chef Ted in earlier. He was a dream. God, he brought me in some scones. God damn, that boy can cook.
Imagine
it was
that.
so good. So good.
What's his, where did you do culinary school?
Yeah, he went out to New York.
New York?
Poughkeepsie.
You got cussed at in New York to learn how to cook?
I don't know. My big question was, do you have to take a math class? Like,
what do you say?
Yeah,
you just give me that
math.
look?
You got to learn cups and gallons and teaspoons and equations of that. I guess I don't know. It was a good interview.
So I always wanted to be a chef. That's like my wannabe thing. So remember I mentioned Mitch from Hell's Kitchen that was my buddy who he passed away now, but
oh yeah, something with his wife or something. Wasn't
yeah.
it?
So there were these parties at their house, and Mitch was the head chef at the place in Stillwater, the nice dining in Stillwater, which might have been, I can't even remember.
God, I haven't been there forever.
Everyone who knows fine dining knows that.
But I swear I've been there.
Anyway, he was there for years, and before he decided to jump ship and do his Hell's Kitchen thing. And we had this party at their, and she had this big modern house and fit a lot of people, and she had a Zydeco band. And I said, I want to be the chef. I want to be the chef.
Ooh.
So Mitch was a big man before he got his stomach stapled. So all his chef's jackets were big. So I said, you got to get me a hat. You got to get me the
going
jacket.
all in.
I got to do it. So he shows up. We go out in the garage and I change. I come in with this big chef's dress on, and they prepped all the stuff. So he had everything prepped. And this guy who owns this Dixie's on Grand over there in St. Paul shows up, and John's great. So John shows up, and I said, how many people didn't show up for work at your place today? And he goes, don't even remind me. I said, hey, man, want to help me? He's like, I'm not touching anything. I said, here's the deal. You're my coach. I said, You tell me what and when, and I do it. So he drank beer. We yucked it up. We had a great time. She had a big commercial kitchen, and people came and go, and they thought I was the chef.
Really?
I made this amazing meal, but it was all prepped, and he told me when to hit the roux just right, and I made everything just perfect. And they all came up to me and said, "Hey, where are you a chef at?" And I said, "Ha ha ha! I just play one on TV." And they would laugh and walk away.
So what did you make?
Jambalaya and some other stuff. And it was killer.
Love
and there was
me
this.
some
It was a
jumbo.
huge party, and even when the police showed up, we didn't leave. And Mitch said,
him some
"It ain't a good
jambalaya."
party unless the police show up." And he and I are up in the upstairs. I still have my chef jacket on. I wasn't taking that off forever. And we were smoking cigars, and the police are down there saying, "You know, guys, the
Getting
Zydeco
a little
band,
loud in here.
that Zydeco band's got to tone it down." So that's my dream, is to always have been a chef. So I have a great admiration, because it's unfortunately it's art that disappears.
Oh.
They create it and it's gone. They have to recreate it every day.
You know what? Back to the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah,
It's the sandcastle of the culinary world.
that's it.
It's a piece of art that doesn't last very long.
It's gone.
Boom.
Yep.
How
it's
cool
gone.
is that? I love food. That's why I'm so fat.
He's really skinny.
You know, that's part of the deal of my, when I had my stroke, I had lost like 60, 70 pounds on Metafast. Just melts off like butter. And I think it's tied.
Call 1-800.
I think it's tied together. That's why you don't see a lot of dudes on the Metafast commercials anymore.
Slow down. Back up. What's that now?
Metafast. You know what Metafast
Why
is?
are they? Yeah, but why don't they
so
show
much
dudes?
soy in it?
Why don't they show
Soy's-
dudes?
Because soy's not good for dudes.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's long-term effect. It
Prostate stuff or what?
No, like testosterone and
Got no tea.
growing teats.
Got no tea.
Yeah, no tea. Yeah. But I might do it again just to lose the weight. I don't know.
The hell with tea.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm old. Don't matter none. Hey, we got to wrap this bitch up, man. We're coming up on an hour. Did you get everything off your list?
Talk slowly.
Talk slowly. Oh, I had something I wanted to ask you. You know, we were talking about the Queen and the folks over there in jolly old England. What about? Do you know who Boris Johnson is?
Yes,
Doesn't he always look drunk? Like every time they show him,
pretty much.
he just looks like a drunk dude.
Is that the dude that got no?
He's the prime minister of
Is that
UK.
the dude that got COVID or no? Is that where we're going?
Yeah. Yeah, and he named his son after the doctor that helped cure him. So that was kind of cool. Because he
What Russian official got it too? I missed that.
got me. They just said that Trump's valet has it. And
So now everyone's going to be wearing masks around him.
they're all up in arms about that shit.
Yeah, he's going to have everyone wear a mask.
Do you think that what they should do at the end of this coronavirus is they should go around to all these local networks where all these weather guys and reporters are working from home and be like, oh, it's the last day you get to work from home. You know, why don't you stand up and give us a full screenshot of what you've been wearing for the
Your
last
pajama
month?
bottoms.
Because, you know, they're sitting there in their pajamas or their underwear and, you know, got suit on the top, business on the top, you know, relaxing on the bottom. I think it's really weird that they don't go into the studio. Like, they're not on top of each other anyway.
It drives me nuts.
It's so
I'm
weird.
sorry.
Speaking of which, that Joe Rogan podcast with Elon Musk, man, he brought up some good points about the pandemic.
What are they? Bring some up.
Well, and I've been saying this the whole time.
Who's he? Musk or
Musk.
Okay.
I've been saying this the whole time that these deaths, right? There's so many deaths from it.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is that there's so many people working overtime and so many nurses and doctors at these hospitals that they're low on resources, they're low on funding. So the more COVID patients you have, the more funding you get. So if you go in there because you broke your hip and you die, if you coughed at any point, you're a COVID patient.
No, they do blood tests. Come on.
So no.
You don't think they do?
No.
You're a conspiracy theorist guy.
No, this is
He's a conspiracy. This is final.
this is
Okay, that's the show today. He's a conspiracy theorist, and
No, but
thanks for tuning
that's
in.
where Elon Musk was going with it, and that's what I've been saying the whole time that they are chalking
Wait a
any
minute.
death
Wait
at
a
a
minute.
hospital up to
Now you're a
COVID.
conspiracy theorist because Elon Musk has what area of expertise?
Oh, he's fucking smart.
Oh, yeah. So that makes him know all about medicine.
Yes.
You're an idiot.
Yes!
You're an idiot.
Oh,
it's official.
Can't we get along? They do, no, he was backing my point up. He heard my podcast.
So that's why you think he's a genius, because he backs you up.
Because he gets it. He gets it. He understands
I bet your wife is rolling her eyes if she ever listens to this.
No, we're not getting into that. We had a little debate today, her and I.
Because you get it and she doesn't. I know this routine.
No,
I got it.
She's at home moving rocks right now.
Yeah.
It's my girl. But anyway, so they have all of these deaths from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That may not all be coronavirus related.
And you don't think they test blood? You think they just assign it?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Do you think they're going to test you?
My daughter's a nurse, and they test the hell out of these people.
The dead people?
Everyone who comes into that hospital for anything. You don't think that? Have you ever gone to the hospital? Have you ever had surgery where they do blood work right away before they even look at you? They do blood work.
That's true.
So you don't think they pull that test in the COVID times? We missed one test in these COVID times. You should have tested him for COVID. Damn it, that's right. I saw it on the news this morning. But we did test him for some genetic defect. See how I shot a hole in that one?
Here's another one that you need. Here's one that you need to shoot a hole in.
Okay.
Do you know how many people die per year from cigarette smoking?
Oh, a boatload. I agree with you on that. I just disagree with the other one.
Well, we can agree to disagree. 41,000 people die a year from smoking.
In this country?
Just in the United
state?
States.
Okay.
Worldwide, 480,000.
A year?
A year.
480,000.
Cigarette smoking is responsible for more than 480,000 deaths per year in the United States.
But I'll blow a hole in it. Do you think
41,000 is secondhand smoke?
So did you see where the UK surpassed?
That can't be right. 480,000?
Oh, I do believe it. Your mom's got COPD. You're witnessing it. So did you see that the UK surpassed Italy for deaths?
No, I don't watch the news.
The UK, who snubbed social distancing, now surpassed the country that was used as the redheaded stepchild of the world. So my point to you is this. If we had not done anything, I agree you think we did too much, and there's a strong argument on a lot of places because I do think there's a big debate about the value of a human life. People are saying society, I get all that. But the truth is, if we didn't do a thing, there would be more deaths in 6 months, I believe, than just from this one thing, which was not a lifelong exposure to cigarettes, which was a brand new exposure to a brand new virus. That's why the movie Pandemic and all these things are playing. And that's why there's so many guys that are just as smart as Elon Musk that are saying over and over again, we have to do this. Elon Musk isn't the smartest guy on the planet. Matter of fact, the smartest people on the planet can't function. The guy that we went to the baseball game, the photographic memory, He's smarter than probably Elon Musk, but you don't know it because the circumstances didn't align.
That's a bold statement.
It's a bold one. But intellectually, let me just say cognitively, because intellect is really hard. You have EQ, you have IQ, you have all these things. But the point is
DQ.
Humans. Yeah, DQ.
Barbecue.
I love DQ. But the truth is to assess the value of someone because of their wealth is a dangerous, slippery slope. And I
wasn't saying because of his wealth.
But you said he was really smart, and I think you give him a lot of credibility.
I think he is really smart.
He is, I granted that. But is he the smartest that we should go to him instead of the people who actually got their medical degrees and are saying this? That's what you're suggesting.
No.
Okay.
You pushed that on me.
No, because you assume that he knows that they did the test they need to, and he's not even not even in the hospital.
No, that is me. That is me. I know that's going on.
Yeah,
I've heard that from more than one source. That's legit.
You're going to be the first guy that steps off on Mars and you forgot your helmet.
No, never going to Mars. Never going to Mars.
Because you don't have the money to pay Elon Musk $225,000
at all. How long does it take to get there?
You got to be cryogenic almost to get there. Gotta go in a self-induced coma or an induced coma
because it takes like ever.
Slow down your metabolism so you don't end up waking up there at 100 years old. Hey, it's great. You left when you were 25, but now you have heart problems and you have a stroke, by the way, on your way here.
Well, there's no doctor. you're screwed.
No, Elon Musk's online.
He's not a doctor.
He's a god, though. You're right.
How long does it take to get there? Is that
I just want all the audience to know that there's 16 pictures of Elon Musk here with halos around his head in his office.
Oh.
And he's standing on the moon on one and on Mars on 3 of them.
You're cut off.
And,
You're cut off. You're starting to get visuals. You're starting to see shit. We got to wrap this thing up, man. We are going long. We can't close it all up in one day.
No, we can't digress any further than we already have.
No, but you have to get to the bottom to get back to the top.
This is true.
Boom. So everybody, we can't thank Terry enough for stopping back in. He's going to be a reoccurring theme around here, I think, because he looks like he has a lot to say. That's the truth. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell a friend, share the podcast with a friend, and get it out there. Download, give us a review, and we'll tune in, or we'll be back next week. So make sure you tune in to see what's happening on the DK Project. Take care.
Thank you.
That's it. That's the end.
That's a wrap.
Read the shtick.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.